Welcome to another video. So I've been doing loads recently, these kind of videos on, now it's not straight. Look at that, it doesn't look straight. I'm so sorry. I've been doing videos recently. I've been doing loads of vlogs and also loads of those videos that's like best and worst luxury items. And you know, one of the great things that I love is I've been doing those videos and I can see how much you're all enjoying them from the comments, but from the views. And I'm so pleased whenever I do a video and I can see that you've loved it. It makes me really happy. But anyway, I thought I'd do something quite different. Today, you guys have written to me as requested with different things you're going through in your life. I've got some of you who are trying to break up with people, some of you who are thinking, do I marry the guy? Those of you who are trying to buy a house, or you've just got a mortgage and you're like trying to juggle the debt on it. And although I'm no expert, some of these things I can relate to because I've kind of been through similar. So I've picked out some that I've highlighted and I'm going to answer those. And I'm also going to share with you some things I've been really overusing at the moment and really liking, including stuff that's in here, like some really good things. What shall I do first? I'm going to really quickly do the favourite things because I reckon that will be quite quick and then we can just get on to you guys. So the first thing is that I wanted to mention, you know how I've spoken to you about this before? This is an eye cream that I've been using non-stop since 2016 and it's made by a lady on Etsy. It's cruelty-free and vegan. It's the best eye cream I've ever used. It doesn't really sink in. It's kind of quite oily, it's quite greasy. But if you have tiny, tiny fine lines under your eyes, or particularly if you've got dryness under your eyes, or puffiness, but mainly I want to say the dryness and the crepiness, this has just been an absolute miracle. And I think it's because it's so kind of greasy. Well, I've been trying this. It's one of those ones where you push the top down and then some of the product comes out. This is the neck and décolletage serum. And if, for any of you who've tried that, if you're like, yeah, I'm kind of getting on with this, then give this a go. So I got this because I've got sun damage on my chest area here. And I didn't have it until I went on holiday to Crete in 2017. How many of you remember that? I went on that, and do you remember I had really bad sunburn? Well, it turns out I was allergic, didn't even know it was a thing. I've got an allergy to certain, what's it called? Sun lotions, sunscreens. And I had these blisters all over my chest. And I thought it was sunburn, it wasn't. It was this sunscreen I was putting on, and it's like damaged my skin here, and when I tan it kind of goes blotchy now. So anyway, I tried this and it makes such a difference, particularly to the neck area, just at like hydrating and tightening, like, you know, this area here. I find it really effective. So if you've tried that and liked it, then give this one a go. These are both off Etsy and I will link them below. So the other things that I wanted to show you are, first of all, this, which kind of goes with this. This I spoke about a couple of videos ago, but at the time I'd only just been sent it and I was using the previous version, not this. This is one of those cleaning tools. Have you heard of those ones? You know, the ones from Foreo? Well, this is a different company that does a different vibrating cleaning tool that I don't know if it works in the same way. I know Foreo because I always see their stuff in TK Maxx. That's how I know of them. But anyway, this is a sonic cleaning thing and it's got bristles on one side, but this is the thing. On the back of this new version, that is a rose quartz crystal. So you clean your face with that side, and I'm using this. The most absolute brilliant product that I've been using all week. This is by Gatineau. Gatineau is like a French brand and it's a cleanser for face and eyes. It gets rid of every bit of makeup, and I'm putting it on with this, scrubbing my face, and then when you've washed it off, I flip this over to the other side where the rose quartz crystal is, and I'm massaging my serums with it. And the most bizarre thing, when you heat that crystal up, it gets really quite hot, which feels quite pleasant actually on the face. But when you turn the heating off, like that, it goes cold, but it's like stone cold, like the stone itself Stone cold. The stone itself is naturally quite cold. Then the other things, oh yeah, this. By the way, that PMD thing I got sent, it's not an advert, they don't even know I'm talking about it. I put ad in the title whenever I show anything I've been given, just to be transparent, but no one's paid me to talk about any of this, it's just good. This is the other thing. Do you remember I did the FabFitFun box unboxing thing? But I also ended up buying that summer box again. Reason being, when I opened it, it was full of this, right, so this wasn't the only thing in it. This is a shower gel that has lasted forever and it smells like coconut and pineapple. And it's said to be hydrating, like moisturizing. When you put this on in the shower and you wash it off, I don't feel that I'm having to moisturize after, and I've got quite dry skin. And it's so softening that when I walk on the carpet, get this, when I walk on the carpet after I've used this in the shower, my feet like feel really silky on the carpet, like noticeably. And I was gonna buy some more of this, only this is like £21, and the cream that goes with it is £18. And I thought, well, hang a minute, that FabFitFun box was £50 or $50. It's going to cost me more to buy all of the items separately, because everything in that box totaled up to over $350. I was quite surprised actually. So I ended up buying the box again, and this has been excellent. And then the other thing that I've been using is this, and they sent me this as well. It's a dry body oil. You can use it in your hair, and this is what I've been doing. I use it all over. I'm not going to put it in my hair now because I've just washed it, but I use it on my body, I use it on my legs. So in the summer when it's hot, if you want to wear skinny jeans or trousers and you can't get them on because you're hot and puffy, spray this on, it sinks in, it's dry, and your trousers slide up, like literally slide on. But it's hydrating, it's lightweight, it smells really nice, like quite delicate rose. I really hope the person who sent me this is watching. So these two products, this in particular, I've been wearing a lot recently. This is a matte liquid lipstick that's in this gorgeous gold packaging, and it's the nicest, deep, reddy sort of fuchsia-y colour, and it's gorgeous, I love it. And then with it, there's this. It's a little pot with a powder puff on the top, and it contains like highlight. Now, I want to show this because apart from the fact it's brilliant, it's by a brand called Pupa Milano. This was sent to me by a subscriber who was very mysterious because you sent me this card with it. I so hope you're watching this. You're from Qatar. I won't say your name because you've basically said in your letter that you don't want anyone, you don't want me mentioning you or anything like that, but I couldn't not mention it because you were so generous. Basically, you sent me a really big box full of the most incredible cosmetics, and I felt actually really upset when I opened it just because I felt so, what's the word? I felt so grateful to you, but I also, there was no return address, and I felt really like I couldn't thank you for it, and I loved everything so much, but this lipstick's really good. And I thought some of you might be interested in that because I know that other dark pink one that I wear from Smashbox you quite like. And then the other two final things before I talk about you guys. Oh yes, two bags I've been using to death the last few weeks. This one's my newest one that you already know about. I have had some of you asking, does it colour transfer? I kind of expected it to, but it doesn't. I have been wearing this a lot recently with a plain white shirt or white t-shirt, and I've been wearing this under my arm. I actually went out for a walk the other day, and the walk was like 4 hours, and I just carried it crossbody and it didn't rub at all, which is brilliant. I have had those of you asking whether because of the shape everything like falls down into this area, and the answer is yes, there would be that propensity for it to do so, but I use one of these. So this is like a cosmetics pouch, and I keep it in the bag, and then it's got everything that I need in it, and I transfer this between bags so it makes it really easy. And then the other bag that I've been using a lot is this one from Chanel. I think this is a small size classic flap in the pale pink colour. I'm not using it as much as the Dior because this one I actually am worried about colour transfer. So with this one, it's that colour transferring onto stuff you're wearing. With this, it's the colours on other things transferring onto it is more of the issue. I've got this bag in the jumbo size that I don't use that much because it's actually a bit too big. I think if I was going to go back in time and rebuy the jumbo, I would get it in a smaller size because I just prefer it. So you know, I said earlier, some of you have written to me with conundrums, things that you're going through at the moment. Well, I've picked out some of the best, and I've had over 150 or something of you write to me, but I'm going to try and do the ones that I've seen that I think I can offer some sort of wisdom on. The first one is from Floppy Bob. And you've said that you're debating whether you should marry your boyfriend of 12 years after you've built your own personal wealth and also own the home that you live in. He does contribute very much to bills and so on, but at 50 years old now, should I consider marriage or think ahead and protect my financial wealth? Is marriage all it's cracked up to be? Well, you know, the first thing I thought when I read that is there is a hint in what you've written of something that is holding you back. And I don't know whether it's because in that relationship, maybe it's not quite 50-50, or maybe something's happened in the past where maybe you felt a bit used from a financial point of view. But the fact that you are asking makes me feel that there is something more there that's making you question it and is making you hold yourself back a bit. Personally speaking, I've loved marriage. It's been brilliant. But then at the same time, from the moment David and I met, we've been two people that have been on the same level, if that makes sense. So when we met, like financially in terms of what we were both earning, we've been neck and neck. And then we got to a point where we decided to, you know, quit the job and do our own thing. So financially, it wasn't like we went into the relationship and one person had a lot and one person had a little. So maybe that's why it's different. Only you can answer the question. And I'm thinking, if you're asking yourself this already, is there a nagging doubt in your mind that makes you think that if you marry him, that you think maybe he's going to run off or try and take half of what you've got? I'm not a massive fan of, what are they called, like prenuptial agreements? I'm not a huge fan of those because I'm still quite old-fashioned in that I like to think that people get married because they actually love each other. I know things can change, but you could maybe think about doing that. If you are actually quite happy with the way the relationship is at the moment, you can just carry on as you are. I mean, I don't know how it is where you're based, but I know in the UK, whether you're married or not, I think anyone who is legal, please chip in here, but I think there's something called common law, where even if you're not married, if you both live together and you're sort of tied into one another, then legally they can claim something, I think. Aisha has written, again with a great thing here, you've said you've just moved out of your parents and you have several credit card debts and a baby on the way and barely any money to get food. How do you get out of it or lessen the severity of the situation? You haven't mentioned whether you've got whether you've got a partner that's going with you. I'm going to assume you do. The toughest thing is, I mean, I've never had a baby, but I can imagine on top of everything else, financially, that would be huge stress. My main tips, and this is what worked for me, and you know, there have even been times when we had like the financial recession several years ago now, there have even been times when I've reverted back to this and it's worked really well. Aside from rent or a mortgage, it's likely that your biggest expense will be food. And even now, when we look at our expenses, we do this quite a lot, David and I. Every so often we'll just go through expenses and we'll try and kill off things that we're not using, or things like, I don't know if any of you know what I'm talking about here, but sometimes you can be signed up to subscriptions and you don't even realise it. So a lot of apps on your phone, they get you in there on a free trial and then you forget, and then you log into your PayPal account and there's like a whole section hidden away full of subscriptions. And you'd be amazed how much you're spending a month on stuff that you didn't even know you were spending on. So doing that, but also going through your food and working out what it is that you're spending on and trying to get the cost down. Now, what I used to do and what I've done from time to time, and it takes time, but it works, is when you go in the supermarket, I would go and buy things like from Sainsbury's, for example. I would buy things that were from the Sainsbury's like value or cheap range that comes in like white packaging with orange writing on it. And it did make it a real bore, because instead of just mindlessly walking in and picking what you want, you've got to sort of like hustle on the prices a bit. So do that. The other thing is, if you've got a partner, that person really needs to be stepping up, because it can't all be on you, and it can be really tough at the beginning when you first move out and you're trying to get your head around how much it actually costs to move out, but get that other person to support you. It seems like men's hobbies are taken as they are, while women's hobbies are judged more harshly, especially for professional women. As a business professional and someone who has an interest in an industry or supercars that is pretty male dominated, have you ever had to combat any negative opinions about the luxury content you create? How do you or would you deal with that? Very interesting, because, you know, I don't really get much criticism, and certainly not in my real life, but the only criticism I get is very occasionally online, and I think, you know, I really think it's from people who watch and they think that 10-minute video or 20-minute video is my life every single day, 24/7. And everyone has got a real life. Everyone has to take the bins out and clean the toilets and the bathrooms and go grocery shopping and deal with the bills and go to work. Like, what you see of me on YouTube is the tiniest proportion of my life. So when I do get judgments or opinions about it on here, I don't take them seriously, because I know that it's from someone who's maybe not understood quite correctly that luxury video makes up the tiniest part of my life, and it's made for YouTube. If you do have anyone in your real life who's doing that to you, my advice would be to, if you can, cut them out of your life. I mean, you know, there are so many good people in the world, and there are so many different paths you can go down, and different things that you might enjoy and things that you might not enjoy. And life's too short to hang around with people that judge you. So if you've got hobbies, it sounds like you're a professional businesswoman, you've got hobbies, you know, just mix with people that don't judge you for that. Alicia, you didn't want advice, but you wanted a quick question here. How did the Maria Tosh follow-up go? So this is because, you know, I said to you, I got my ears pierced at Maria Tosh and they got infected. I went back, sorry for not filming that, by the way. It ended up being quite quick. The great thing about Maria Tosh is you can go back as many times as you want, and they will clean them for you and take them out, put them back in, clean them, replace the post bit, because as they start to heal, you need a shorter post and all this kind of thing. Yeah, it was fine. I've always said I think the problem is with them is that the jewellery is quite big and weighty, and it's very difficult to heal when you've got it in. Bethany, your one made me laugh. Have you ever had to end a relationship? If yes, how did you do it? When I read your comment, I laughed because one particular thing stuck in my mind. Yes, I've had to end relationships. No one likes the dumping bit. Does that make sense? Like, even if you're thinking, I can't wait until I've done the deed so I can move on with my life. You've got to I always did that thing in my head. I was like, after 3, you're gonna do it, and I'd be like, 1, 2, 3. No, I can't do it. No one likes doing it, and also, even as the person who's done the dumping, you feel a bit horrible yourself for a few days after, and a bit like, I don't know. Sometimes even if I was not even that into the person, I'd be a bit like, oh, I feel a bit sad, you know. So I think that's quite normal. How did I do it? Over text? No, I'm joking. One thing that I did once, which is kind of a funny story. Normally I just talk to people. I talk to the person, and I try and do it face to face, because even though it's really tempting to do it over email or text, I think it's a really cowardly thing to do, unless you're going out with someone who's really clingy, and then that's probably going to be the best thing to do. I think you need to judge it your way. But one thing that I have to tell you, and it's quite funny, years ago when I was about 16, I was going out with this guy, and I hadn't been going out with him long, probably like literally 3 weeks. And he got heavy really quickly. When I say heavy, I'm 16, okay? And he was like 18. And he was like, will you marry me? And I was like, oh my God, no. Honestly, he said it in the first week. It was weird. It was like, if this works out, will you get married to me? And I'm thinking, no. And at that age, before I met David, I didn't want to marry anyone. I was very much happy on my own self. Anyway, he got really, really heavy. Like super, you know when someone puts you off, they're so into you that it actually is a turn off. It got like that. And I couldn't get away from this situation. He was everywhere that I would be. I'd go out with my girlfriends and he'd be there, and it kind of got scary. And so in the end, one of my best friends, who's actually a guy, knew about the situation and said, you need to dump him. And I said, well, I've already tried, I've already said it, and he's not taking the hint. He doesn't believe me. He thinks that I don't really want to do it. So in the end, my friend was like, right, I'm going to come with you, you're going to dump him, and I'm going to wait in my car, and then you're going to get in my car and we're going to drive off really quickly. And I know it sounds really dramatic, but I had to get in the car and drive away because I think after it had sunk into his head, he got really funny about it. So that's how that ended. Oh, isn't it funny when you look back to when you were a teenager and some of the stupid things that happened? You look back and you just think, oh. After I dumped him, he used to prank call my home phone constantly, and I knew it was him because he had one of those phones that doesn't have a cable on it. Like, I am talking about like year 2000 here. And it used to have a certain type of hum on the line, and only people that had those phones had that particular hum on the line. And whenever he used to phone, he used to not say anything, and I'd answer it, and I could hear the hum. And I remember one day, I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, I do know it's you. Like, the phone got put down. I feel like my boss is taking me for granted. I've achieved a very high bonus, it's 5 figures, based on performance, and now he's saying the company is not budgeted for me, and he's asked if I can meet them in the middle. What shall I do? I can totally relate to this because I had a near exact situation years ago. It wasn't in relation to a bonus. It was actually in relation to my salary. A few of us, we all got called into a meeting, like individually, and basically they couldn't afford to pay everyone, and they wanted everyone to take like pay cuts, and it made it really difficult because you're thinking, well, no, because I've got to pay my bills, and you won't be taking a pay cut. So I would be less inclined to agree to let them half or deduct or whatever from you, because I'm of the opinion that once you've let them do this once, they'll keep doing it. And also, it's really, in my experience in companies, when they reduce things down, they never go back up again. Does that make sense? I'm going to start work in 1 year. Can you give me any tips on how to save up money for a house? Advice on how to manage money from the beginning of your career itself, and also some mistakes to avoid. Right, so the first thing is, I don't know whether you've got any debt or not, but if you have any debt, I would always say and in fact, I've been to see IFAs before, and they've always said the same thing, that before you start saving, you should pay off the debt, because the interest that you're going to be paying on debt is higher than any interest you would be earning on any savings. So it's better to clear off any debt. So any extra money that you have after you get paid, put towards paying down the debt. If you don't have any debt, you're very lucky. What I would do is this. I take the amount that I get paid each month, and I deduct any bills that I've got off it, and then you look at what you've got left at the end, and I take out a reasonable amount to cover entertainment, things like going out for drinks or for dinner or, I don't know, anything else. And then the bit that's left over is what I save, and I would recommend that you do that. That works quite well for me. I've got 2 questions here that are kind of similar, and they are to do with, a lot of you are asking about motivation and how to stay motivated, particularly if you're doing a job that you don't particularly love. And I've got a couple of you who are asking for, just to know really, how do I structure the day? How do I stay productive? How do I get things done? When I worked in like an office environment, it was kind of easy to structure my day because I had to be up and I had to be in the office and I had to get a certain amount done, and then I had to come home and I knew I wanted to go to the gym or, you know, whatever. When you work for yourself, it is, at the beginning I found it really hard. Now I am in more of a routine with it. The way that I structure my day is I have got a massive calendar next door on my desk, and I know pretty much every single day for the next few weeks what I need to get done each day. And I allow space in there for if things change. So if if I need to have a meeting with someone, or if a new job comes in and I need to fit it in somewhere, then I've got that. But pretty much I know what I need to be doing. And one of the things as well that I get asked a lot is about how you fit YouTube in, because I know a lot of you are in a similar situation where you have a full-time job and then you're trying to do YouTube on the side, or you're just interested in doing it. YouTube is easier to do now than it was when I worked in an office environment, because when I worked in an office environment, I was in an office for 9, maybe 10 hours a day, whereas now that I work from home, I'm at home and I am in control of my own hours. And also don't forget, when you're working in an office, I mean, a good 2 hours of my day, each day, probably 2 to 4 hours each day was just commuting, sitting in my car or on the train. So things are different now. What I used to do when I was full-time in an office, whenever I did a YouTube video, it would be something that I would film on a Saturday and I would try and get it edited on the Saturday, and then I'd put it to go live on the Sunday of my weekend. But since working from home, it's been easier to fit it in around my full-time job, because I block film, say 4 to 6 weeks worth of videos, with the exception of vlogs that I fit in around other stuff. I have got, at all times, I've got 4 to 6 weeks worth of videos recorded on my computer, ready to go. And the way I do that is I will get up super early, either on a Monday morning or sometimes on the weekend, and I already know what I'm gonna film. So I'll write out, just in front of the TV in the evening, or like at the gym, I'll come up with some ideas and I'll write them all out. And then I will just sit in my room and I'll film them. And then I will try and edit on the same morning, but sometimes I might only get a chance to edit 1 or 2. But I'll leave them all on there, and then as I need a video, I will just go and grab the video, edit it, and go live with it. I spend 1 day each month block filming loads of stuff, and that's me done. So 1 day each month, that's how I do YouTube. The next question is, there was a good one round here, where was it? Well, they're all good, but how do you not take things personally in the work environment? And somebody else had said that's a similar thing actually. The way that I would deal with it in the workplace is, unless someone is being a bully and they're being personally nasty to you, in which case I would pull them up on it. But if, let's say maybe you're a bit sensitive and in the heat of a moment, let's say a project's gone wrong and someone shouts and says something, and it's not personal, it's not like I hate you, it's, you know, you did this wrong or you could have done better. You just have to really remove yourself from it emotionally, because it's not that that person doesn't like you. In this scenario that I'm playing, it's not the person doesn't like you, it's just that in that moment of frustration, maybe they have said something which you could take offense at, because maybe you worked really hard on this project and it went wrong. And I think you just need to emotionally detach yourself from it. But if what you're going through at work is bullying, or if someone is being deliberately malicious, then that is different, and I would either pull them up on it and or speak to a manager about it. Okay, some technical issues there. I have got sound, but I no longer have any like video footage of me. All you can hear is me, and it's just a black screen, so I've had to cut it off here. If you've stayed with me all the way through till the end, well done, you deserve a medal. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.